What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I am joined, as always, with Keelan. What is going on, man?
Can't complain much. It's a wonderful Sunday over here. Storms have passed on our side of town, so doing a lot better.
The rain has passed, and it'll be back again tomorrow, so
Yes, it will.
it'll be nice. But for tonight, rain-free, and we're hoping that everybody else out there is having a wonderful night as well. Tonight, we're going to be talking about episodes 6 and 7 of The Last of Us. We had a bit of a hiccup last week, so we were not there for last week's episode. So we're going to wrap it up with this episode. I mean, honestly, not a whole lot has happened. So that's not going to be a big problem. Again, guys, if you like our channel, thank you so much. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button and that thumbs up, it would really mean a lot to us. We're slowly growing our channel. I think we're at like 126 subs now. So thank you, everybody who's hit that subscribe button. It means the world to us. And yeah, we just appreciate all of you watching. So thanks so much. Spoiler warning, fair spoiler warning for episode 7 of The Last of Us. We will be talking about that and getting into detail about the episode itself. It just came out a few hours ago. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to pause this and then come back after you have seen it. If you've seen it or you don't mind being spoiled, join us for this conversation because we're going to talk about episode 7 of The Last of Us. So you have been warned. Keelan, I know that we haven't done episode 6, so I don't know what you want to do about first impressions. Maybe we could just wrap up our first impressions with both episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what do we think about both episodes? And then
Put a little bow on it.
Yeah, we'll go from there.
Sounds good. I'll start with first impressions for both of these episodes as a bundle, and then I'll just go in on both a little. In a bundle, I have to remember I am not. Let me phrase that differently. I have not had the pleasure of enjoying video game the cinematic cuts continuously through and through. I would say this might be my first time getting a live action view of that through an episodic version, being television. Usually you see it on YouTube and it's all cut through and it's still the animation. This is the live action, etc., etc. Why I say that is I have to remind myself, and I think I've said this in every episode, I have to remind myself every episode, this is a video game. It will play like a video game. It will begin and end like a video game. And if I forget that for any sliver of a second, I am thinking to myself, what the hell am I watching? That is the first thing I want to give on my first thoughts. Because episodes 6 and 7, sorry, they feel like episodes 2 and 3, but episodes 6 and 7 are prime examples of that. Every episode so far has been a really good example of that. If you forget this is a video game or that this is the cinematic cuts from a video game, you're going to get a little confused. So episode 6 I thought was going to be a lot funner than it was. Joel finally finds Tommy, and we were that was I thought that's what this show was about.
Me too.
In
a certain respect.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was one of the major storylines. Exactly. Come to find out, no, it's the peas in your casserole. If you don't have it in there, you don't really notice. That threw me for a loop. I wasn't sure how to look at this series after Tommy wasn't as significant as we thought he would be. Through episode 6, it was still interesting. A little more informational than I thought it would be, a little less action packed than I thought it would be. And then we fast forward to episode 7. Episode 6 was called Kin. So, find Tommy. And we find out what Tommy's life is like and that Tommy has built a family, but we'll get into that. Only to journey forward into episode 7, which is called Left Behind. And we could have left that whole episode behind.
Not a whole lot. Again, there's a lot of these bottle moments in the episodes that like you can tell, like you said, this is based on a video game. So there's actually really not a whole lot of lore to play with here for TV and movies. And I think you can sort of feel that in the story a little bit because this entire episode is basically a flashback,
Flashback. Yeah.
and we get very little of the story progression.
And so I want to actually change what I just said about this episode. I want to clarify or validate what I'm saying about this episode. This episode is left behind. Like, it is the left behind portion of her life. This part doesn't exist anymore. The reason for me, episode 7, and I'll say it right now, is a little like, did we really need it? Is simply because when you look at episode 7, the only parts of episode 7 that actually matter to the story are the first 30 seconds and the last 30 seconds. It's a minute-long episode. I'm not saying that what's in between wasn't fun a little bit, because I actually did have fun watching it, but at a certain point, it started to click what was going on and why we were going through that, and it was nonsensical, and that's where I had to leave it. It doesn't mean that it wasn't entertaining from a cinematic stance, but it didn't mean anything to the story. Only thing it showed was, well, how people deal with loss, but we can get into those weeds.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I'm feeling a little bit close to what you're saying. I definitely noticed the lack of fleshed out worlds. I think that a lot of this is, like you're saying, they're focusing on the what are they called, the cinematic cuts for video games. So you get these big set pieces, like, you know, going to Kansas City in episode 6 is a set piece, and it's about the, you know, the how the society runs and all of that, but there's not really a whole lot happening there. And then episode 7, it definitely feels like there might be a flashback in the game, or maybe I don't know. But yeah, it's not moving the story along
Not at all.
yeah, not as quickly as you would like, or you know, what direction are we going at this point? What is the objective?
Right. Really quick, with you saying that, not as quickly as we would like, that is a powerful statement to me in this moment.
Mm.
If this was a 12 episode series, I don't think we would be as critical. We
Yeah,
have more time.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, I think that they're going to be stretching out the first game in 2 seasons, I think. So that's
Okay,
probably why we're feeling like it's a little bit
drawn out.
yeah, discombobulated with the timing.
Okay.
But I think my ultimate takeaway is every episode is a character study in which the character dies at the end. And I'm getting really
You
bored of
said that
that.
2 episodes ago too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's since episode 2 with Tess,
Yep.
and then episode 3 with whatever, Gary or Bill, whatever his name is.
Bill was 3. Bill and Frank was 3.
Right. Bill and Frank was 3, and then 4 was the crazy Karen lady, and then 5 was
And
Henry and Sam.
didn't they all die in the same episode?
Yes, they did, but 4 was introducing that storyline. So 4 and 5 were like the introduction of the
Like one episode.
Yeah, the crazy Karen, and then Henry and Sam, and then all of those people.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, they all were introduced in one episode, then they were already killed in the next episode.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
So to me, the formula is starting to
Oh yeah.
wear out its welcome, at least, because all I could think about in this episode or episode 7 with Ellie and what's the girl's name?
Riley.
All I could think about is, all right, when is she dead? You know, like,
Riley,
when is she dead? I know she's dying. I know it's going to happen.
Funny. Your question was when, mine was how.
Yeah, I knew it would be a clicker because Ellie hasn't been bitten yet. So it makes sense that it would have been.
I did not realize she hadn't been bitten yet until the attack scene, and that's when I realized, like, oh snap, one of them is about to get bit. And I hadn't caught that until.
We got Corey here. Thanks for tuning in, Corey. Appreciate you.
What's up, Corey?
I didn't think that they needed to chop up the timeline like that. Episode 7 could very well take the place of episode 3. Yeah.
I like Corey saying that, seeing as how he knows the game itself. And he's the one who let us know that episode 3 was more fiction than, well, this whole thing's fiction, but more fiction even to the lure than fact.
Yeah, and it's weird that those choices to sort of like they're going to spend all of their energy sort of fabricating a story that didn't really need to be fabricated, but then leaving the main characters to the cinematic pieces of the video game. Like we get a whole thing about how Bill and Frank were in like a paradisical post-apocalyptic world,
Right.
and Ellie and Joel are still, they're going through montages as they travel. It's like, let's just get them to the next place so that we can go see who else is going to die in this show.
Plenty of people.
Plenty of people. So yeah, those are my critiques. I think it's just the formula of introducing a new person just to have the what now feels like an exploit. It feels like you're exploiting my emotions every time you introduce a new character, and then you're like, oh, but they're dead. Look how tragic. Don't you think this is good TV? No. It works in sparing, like it works in small doses. You can do
Right.
that, but if you do that every episode, I'm just going to roll my eyes and say, okay, well, now you're just exploiting the emotional substance of the subject matter that you're talking about.
Right.
Like, yeah, you can get a reaction out of me after you kill off a character that we just spent an hour learning about.
If I'm being honest, they haven't gotten a reaction out of me yet.
I mean, in a reaction is like, I know I'm supposed to feel something, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, I know
Nope.
I'm
Don't feel
supposed
a
to
thing.
feel. Well,
I don't feel shit. I'll explain.
Go ahead.
Well,
Please
again,
tell
it's kind of like you said. At the very beginning, where they killed, where they dead it, where I no longer had the intention of anybody living through this entire series.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you just said. It's how we just broke down. We meet somebody, they kill somebody. They meet somebody, they kill somebody. After Marlene, I was like, damn, we didn't even get nothing on her. And then Tess, and then I was like, oh, that's what's going to be happening. Now, I didn't expect it to be so clean and consistent. One, I didn't expect it to be always somebody who we're learning their entire life too. But I immediately was like, oh, they're going to be killing people this entire series. And I had heard rumor that it was supposed to be likened to the deaths of Game of Thrones, which it's not even close, but that's not the point.
Right. Corey says he's agreeing here. It's like a strategy of vignettes supposedly broadening the main characters, and it's getting a little too cute. Yeah.
Man, it's about as cute as the Bride of Chucky. It's about as cute as My Little Pony with a bloody unicorn horn. Like, listen.
It's definitely getting formulaic, and I can get where you might be fatigued in the like in that feeling of like, I don't feel anything. And I think that's kind of that's an apt analysis, because it I think what it is that I'm struggling with is that it's telling me I need to feel something about this, but I think you're right, I don't. And it's because you keep doing this over and over again. If you had done it once, I would have been like, oh my God, and then that character died, and I'd be talking about it all season.
Or do it for the first time 3 episodes, 4 episodes in.
Right.
Give me a chance to actually be connected to a character. I don't even feel a connection to Ellie and Joel at this point. I thought Joel was gone. And
not yet.
Not yet.
He will be soon.
Keyword. Yeah.
Right.
And so at this point, it's just like, all right, where do we start an uptick timer to see how long he lasts, or do we start a downtick time to see if he outlasts our expectations? Like, that's where Joel is now. What a lot of this reminds me of, this particular show, and then we can get into the beats too. But what this reminds me of, and I'm starting to realize what a lot of TV is reminding me of, it's the the greatest athlete of all time narrative, the greatest show of all time, the greatest of anything of all time narrative. The moment too many people like it, it's terrible. But if nobody likes it, then it's great. It just doesn't make sense. But that's literally how the social construct, how the social concept of popularity works. If the people that I like you, then you're good. If the people that I don't like you, then you're bad.
Right. I wonder too if there's not any like expansive universe lore for The Last of Us. Because it does seem like they're taking from a very shallow well of stuff that they can do.
Yeah,
and
it's a video game with like only 3 hours of gameplay. I think the gameplay is literally 3 hours for both games, I believe. And that's not a bad thing. I want to be clear. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying what I've heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, but yeah, it does feel like they're like, okay, well, we can't do that just yet because that's a big piece. There's another set piece. Basically, every episode has a set piece,
Yeah.
and that set piece is associated with the game. Um, and then, like you have all of this character stuff that's sprinkled in. For episode 7, I would say that um, I did like it in that it gave Ellie a little bit more depth to her than just being an annoying kid.
This episode, yes. I want to pause
Mhm.
and rewind to something I just said, and I realized I watch way too much stuff and I read too much stuff because I even know which game I just mistook The Last of Us for, and it wasn't The Last of Us. The Last of Us, the number one game has 15 hours of gameplay. The second one has 24 hours of gameplay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can I share what game I just confused it for? Because I know what game I confused it for. It just came out. You love it.
I don't know.
Hogwarts.
Oh, Hogwarts Legacy. That's got I don't know. I'm still on I'm 40 hours in. And I'm
Right.
still
So
playing.
apparently, if you go just like even with The Last of Us, if you go directly just gameplay only, not doing side missions and all the extra stuff,
Right.
it's 15
The
hours. And
story.
Hogwarts
Yeah.
is supposed to be 3 hours and 30 minutes or something like that if you play it straight through, none of the extra stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know who the hell does that. Who buys a video game to play with
Psychopaths.
that? I don't know.
Speedrunners.
Speedrunners, yes, but
Yeah.
speedrunners are doing it so they can make a couple of $100,000 on YouTube when they post it or on Twitch.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to go through the beats of 2 episodes. So maybe what do you want to talk about
Hot points.
episode 6?
Hot points in episode 6. I wish we got more out of the Native American couple at the beginning in the woods. I felt like they were going to be a major player in episode 6, at least into them venturing out into the unknown, I guess is the way to call that. And they kind of were, because they even kind of lingered in my mind when you get to Joel being in the shack and she's trying to figure out how to help him. They were lingered in my mind about those statements that the wife made when Ellie's like, "Oh, you can't scare us," and she's like, "Scared him." Like, but that's because Joel knows the reality of life and not just the fiction of, "Oh, well, if I know how to do this, I'll be safe." No, you won't.
I just like that Grandpa and Grandma were eating good.
Oh,
They did. They did
Yeah, like
not.
what, 3 ferrets right there on the wall?
Well, I mean, they were both very rotund people.
That's true. Very true. That's true.
They definitely weren't post-apocalyptic skinny like everybody else, which is
they were still eating like 2023 for sure.
Right, which is funny because they actually kind of mentioned that they had been there for way longer than before
than before.
Yeah.
I liked that because we forget often in, I guess we'll say, mainstream society, that there are people who live off the grid. There are people who do not want to be a part of this monster that we call a city. And those people probably will be a lot better off if something like this were to go down, because they've already tapped into those resources. That is their life already. In fact, they'll be the ones that have the
then you just have to worry about the humans. That's why they don't cross the river, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I love that too, that they have rules.
Right. Corey says it was changed dramatically in a certain direction for the second game, and the creators have been making noises that they were somewhat making up for the wrong direction in the first game. Yeah.
Direction? Okay, wait, Corey, I just have to ask, can you elaborate on that any? What are your thoughts on the wrong direction of game number 1?
Whichever one preferred the first game to the second game.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
That's what I needed to know, because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, that sounds like some studio bullshit to me.
Right.
Sounds like
Big Mike's here.
I mean, Creed 3. I mean, what are they calling it?
I don't know. Apollo 6. Apollo 13. There you go. Big Mike's here. What's up, Big Mike? He will be back with us next week. He is just taking care of some things, but thanks for popping in, man. He says, yeah, they were funny and they brought actual humor to the show.
Did. I like I said, when she said sassy. Yeah, with the grandma, I like how he walks in, she looks him dead in the eye, gives him the gesture, lets him know I ain't alone. And he's like, oh, all right, cool deal. And he ain't even fretting. He like, I know that even if you think you gonna get the drop on me, you in my house. We good. Go ahead, lower that pistol there, man.
But so they get the directions from the old couple, and they make their way across the river, and they get sort of accosted by horsemen.
Yes,
a whole bunch of horse riders. which are basically the sort of the sentry, not the sentries, like the scouts for
They're scouts, yeah.
scouts for the, where are they? Jacksonville, Wyoming. Yeah,
I forget where they are.
I think it's
I think it's
Jacksonville.
Wyoming. Or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Jacksonville. So they're,
Wait, this is Jacksonville in Wyoming?
yes, I believe,
Okay.
or is it Jackson Hole?
Yeah,
Now
well,
I
there's a
forget.
Hollywood.
It's a
I think
Jackson
it's in, like
something.
Texas or something. So I get it.
It's a Jackson Pollock.
Jackson.
So they're in Jackson Pollock, Wyoming, and they have this this town set up. It was a QZ, but the people finally successfully revolted against the Fedra, and they have liberated their whole town, and now they live in a utopian paradise where everybody is well fed, everybody has a job, everybody has everything for free. What's up?
Right. It's a socialist community or a commune.
Yes, it's a communist community. They proudly exclaim that.
Communist community.
And I heard a lot of people say that they had problems with that, but I actually thought it was a very accurate representation because 95% of the population had to be killed for them to have their utopia.
I'm
So,
like, I'm
so there
sitting
you
here like,
go.
no,
I mean,
in
that's
a
pretty
post-apocalyptic world.
realistic.
Yeah, in a post-apocalyptic world, they made it very clear the people they don't want, they kill.
Mhm.
How do you have a problem with? Never mind. Whoa, I almost did that.
I think it's just people
I
get
understand why
triggered
you have a problem with
when
that.
you know, you get like the, oh, communism and all that stuff. But I think it's kind of unaware. I think it's a little bit unaware about the implications of, like, yeah, we have this perfect communism utopia after 95% of the population in America was wiped
Exactly.
out. So
Exactly. I thought it was an ironic thing for her to openly be like, "Oh, we are communists. I mean, we're a commune." And it
right.
was like,
I don't think it was, but I think that they
I
just
think that was
didn't.
her way of fucking with Joel.
Yeah. Corey,
Because she don't want, let's be very clear, she wanted to make sure, hey, listen, we'll keep the girl. Tommy's good. Joel, you can't stay.
right.
That wasn't a secret.
Right. Corey says, I thought for a second it was going to be interesting. It looked like Tommy was building a gallows, but no.
I see what you saw there, Corey. I see what you saw. I think they were just reinforcing the outside of that building, but I
Yes.
see what you saw.
Yes. So Jackson Pollock, Wyoming is a very idyllic place. It's everybody's happy. It's safe. There's no infected. There's rarely any raiders or anything
There's
like
power
that.
because there's a dam.
There's power. There's a whole town. There's movies. It's basically, a little bit of a jankier version of the real world. Had the infection not happened, and yeah, it's nice. And I thought to myself, where are they going to go now? Why would they leave?
There's no reason to leave. You know what I think?
No reason to leave.
Something I felt when they got to talking. After they got to talking, and Tommy's telling Joel about what's going on in his life. I feel like Joel was mad he didn't have to save his brother, like his brother wasn't being strung up or held in prison.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he was pissed because he thought his brother was in trouble, but his brother just didn't message him.
Right. He just like, hey, bro, you was on some bullshit. I don't want to be a part of that life anymore. Every time I talk to you out, so a discussion they had made it clear. Tommy had that discussion with him when they were still together, hanging out. It was very clear that Tommy had already told him he was not okay with what they were doing. So the fact that he kept forcing them, and I got that from something also from Maria said. Maria made it seem as if Tommy had confided in her that Joel was basically forcing him. Like, it was the only way he could eat was to do what Joel was making him do.
Yeah, I think that's a cop out. Tommy's kind of a bitch for copping out that way.
I fully agree it's a cop out. I just believe that's the message he sent to Maria.
I saw him in episode 1 put a bullet through a soldier. So
for his brother and his niece who had just been shot.
Yeah, exactly. And he was wielding that AR like he knew how to handle it.
He knew what he was doing. Listen, those dudes were mercenaries. I know. Joel say they were contractors. They were mercenaries, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Everything popped off. He had the pickup truck. You're picking your brother up from jail, and you guys arrive home with a bunch of rifles already.
Mm-hmm. Ready to go. Yeah.
Ready to go. Everything loaded, fully armed. Nah, and you had an exit route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. But yeah, so the crux of episode 6 is that Ellie now needs to get to the University of Colorado because that's where the Firefly base is. And Joel is not sure about whether he can take her anymore. And this creates like a thing between Ellie and him, and she gets kind of upset. And he feels like Tommy would be a better escort because he's got, he's younger, he's got more knowledge. And now all of a sudden Joel's having panic attacks. So he can't do things anymore.
Bad ones too. Debilitating panic attacks.
Right. So the end of episode 6 is basically Joel does decide to take Ellie down there.
Really quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Joel is feeling guilty for 3 reasons. Joel feels guilty because he knows he put his brother in a messed up situation, and his brother ended up in a lot of bad situations because of him. Joel feels guilty because he's lost his daughter and his brother is about to have a child. Joel also feels guilty because you took on this burden of Ellie, and Ellie just told you you're the only person on this planet she trusts at this point because everybody else has left her, and you were going to leave her.
Mm-hmm.
He got strong-armed into that shit by his own emotions and by a child who knew how to play on those emotions. I don't think she was wrong for it either, if I'm being... Did he say that's just Texas?
Yeah. He's correcting us here. It wasn't that they were mercenaries. They're just Texans.
That is definitely just Texas, Corey. You are absolutely right. And I apologize to all of my Texans I know out there. I know how y'all move out there. Texans and Georgians. Not Atlanteans, but Georgians in general. I apologize to those out there who live in free gun wielding states. I envy y'all. California and New York, we want to be like y'all so bad.
That's a much longer episode.
So Maria's pregnant. Joel's feeling guilty. Now, Joel does decide to go, but that's after, hey, I was going to steal this horse, and then I decided, you deserve a choice. Player.
Of course she's going to choose him.
Like, this isn't even a discussion, bro. What are we doing here, Joel? Mm-mm. And I appreciate Joel for even having that reality of, hey, no, that's not going to work. But before they do depart, they do find the Firefly place. Raiders come. Joel is attacked, and
he gets stabbied.
With a broken bat.
Yeah,
I just wish they had at least showed the guy thrusting
pieced up with a broken bat handle. Oh, jeez. That's gotta hurt. But Ellie does manage to save him from death. Drag him. Yeah. I mean, it was his fault. He should have left the bat in before, because he just takes it out and just starts bleeding out everywhere. Like, just keep it in there. Oh, sorry. Keep it in there. And then when you get somewhere safe, take it out.
Mm-hmm. Dude, look, here we are living in our first world lives. Deal with the pain of that.
Come on, man. Just, suck it up.
Suck it up.
Rub some dirt on it. It'll be fine.
There was plenty of dirt in there.
Yes, there was. Probably some other infectious stuff too. That would be good. So basically, episode 7 starts with Joel and Ellie in like a basement of a house, and he's starting to look pretty bad, and she's kind of being told by Joel to leave.
Scat, go on,
get. I don't want you anymore. Get out of here. That old trope. Don't you see? Nobody loves you. Get out of here.
Right. But that's how I felt when he said that. I was just like, go north, go to Tommy. Go and get. Really? That's what we saying?
So we see Ellie run up the stairs, and she shuts the door, and then this flashback starts.
She shuts the door like a little kid running to her room, not doing what she was actually doing.
And I guess it's supposed to set up that she's making a choice in that second, like whether she's going to actually run away or she's going to stay. And so this flashback sets up what decision she makes at the end of the episode. And the flashback is basically starting off with her at Fedra, being a recruit, getting into some shit in gym class with some chick. With some chick.
Well, let's be clear. The chick was starting shit with her though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You just
Mm.
rip somebody's headphones off of them. That's
Man,
that's a
hey,
problem.
back in the '90s we grew up in, that was a pop right. As soon as you
Yeah,
touch
yeah.
my headphones,
If Star Lord taught us anything, it's you
Star
don't
Lord
touch
taught us
headphones.
anything. Now, also, if you knew you was gonna get your ass beat by that person, you still swung. You just ran after you connected. Just being honest.
Right. And apparently, even though Ellie doesn't scrap, she did that day and managed to put 15 stitches in that
15
chick. So
stitches. Do you
that's
know
a
what kind
lot.
of an ass whooping that is?
That's a lot of
That's a
facial
lot of.
trauma.
That's a lot. She
Yeah.
got that girl down and started elbowing and stomping her. She was watching UFC before
And
the.
Leanna Mormont came out in that one.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
fair point.
She did like a cross franchise jump or something. They are owned by HBO, so maybe
Yeah,
she gets
1,000%.
to
I did
transfer some of her
appreciate.
powers over.
Right. I did appreciate the discussion with Captain Kwong though. I didn't
Yeah.
expect such a level-headed authority figure. We haven't
Mhm.
seen that in this series yet. So to
Yeah,
s-
somebody's
meet
that's
him,
not a murderous bastard. Yeah.
yeah. So to meet Captain Kwong and for him to have a real soft spot for Ellie, like really like, hey, listen, I see the potential in you. What do you want out of your life? It gave me that same sentiment that we typically get out of most films, shows, and movies when it comes to that kid with high aptitude.
Mhm.
But I didn't expect to see that in a post-apocalyptic show. So that I thought that was actually a little endearing.
Yeah, yeah, it was a nice little conversation, and it seems like she wanted to listen to that.
Mhm.
Corey says he likes the 7th episode better, like the 5th, because the suspense of the infected was back again. Yes,
The swarm.
yes, finally,
We
yeah,
all love the swarm, man.
or just anything. I mean, just that one in the mall was enough for me to be like, all right, when
That's
is it
true.
happening? We know it's
That one
happening.
when we saw him in the mall, I was like, "Ooh, shit!" And the first thing I thought, listen, the first thing I thought when we saw the dude in the mall, I was like, "Hive mind,
Mm-hmm.
hive." That's all
Being
my brain kept
swarmed.
doing. Hive
Yeah.
mind, it's coming.
Well, I mean, the first thing they say when they actually escape. So Ellie gets visited by a friend who was also one of her compatriots that ran away in the middle of the night, and she takes Ellie out of the barracks and into the town, into the QZ to go see a mall. And one of the first things that they say is that the mall was cordoned off because it was full of infected.
Right,
And
which
then her
insinuates they've never been to a mall, they've never seen a mall or anything.
Right, of course. But her friend says, "Well, if it was cordoned off, then why is it open?" As if that's a good answer.
Not a good answer at all. Makes me
That's
still
a
not want to go
terrible
inside.
answer. Yeah, maybe they opened the door. I don't know. But they end up going to the mall, and it's kind of a nice. I mean, like it's nostalgia bait, definitely nostalgia bait because it made me nostalgic for malls. And I know that that's what it was trying to do. But it was
We
a
don't even
nice
go to
little
malls now when it's not an apocalypse.
Right. It was a nice little friend story at the beginning. I thought it was endearing the way Ellie was sort of wide eyed about all of it. It did drag on a little bit too long for me, though. I felt in some points I was like, "Damn, we're still doing this whole thing, huh?"
Yeah.
And I think that made me a little bit more anxious because it was so clear that I keep losing her name,
Riley.
Riley. It was so clear that she was going to die. It was
Yeah.
just we know it's happening. So
Once we realized it was a flashback, it was like, oh, she doesn't make it.
Mhm.
She couldn't make it because we would have met her by now, or at least heard of her by now.
Right, right. Corey says this whole Ellie is so smart thing is a bit flat, seeing how she flat out said it was cordoned off because it was infested with infected, and then proceeded to get drunk and have a party there.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
not so
to
smart.
what her friend said about you don't have to know everything. Like you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. And she's like, we'll agree to disagree. But it's like, no, the reality is you're a child.
Yeah.
Like I am. You don't know everything. You're still figuring out like I am. And trust me, you're gonna find out half the shit you know is a lie.
But she
I
was
thought
right.
that yeah, she
So.
was absolutely right. And I think that's the thing is two things can be true. It can be this amazing playground that we can enjoy and still be a death trap.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they got through all of the fun stuff and then they got bit.
Yeah. Which I guess it was nice that the zombies let them have a nice little a little
Sweet
date,
time.
a little friend date.
Right.
Well, more than a
Well,
friend date.
well, yeah. I'm about to say it didn't end
And-
as a friend date, but it started as a friend date. You know
right.
what? I was waiting to the end, but I have to say it now. Can we get Friends back on TV? I don't mean the
It is
show.
on TV. In
Fuck, I don't
fact,
mean the
it's on
show.
HBO Max. You can
I'm like,
watch
I
every
do not mean the
episode.
show. Don't you do that to me. You know what? Just because you did that, can we get a Living Single back on TV? It's
Yeah,
on
we
one of
could.
these damn. I know it's on one of these platforms that I watch. I just can't remember which one. I think it's on Hulu. But yeah, can we get a Living Single back? Just since I made that mistake of saying, can we get Friends back? But what I meant
Yes.
by that is, can we get friendships and friendly relationships back on television that don't turn sexual or
Romantic.
romantic at any point? I would
Yeah.
love that. I have nothing against them turning romantic once in a while, but everybody is in love nowadays. I know what it's like to have friends. I'm doing a show with my friend right now.
Yeah.
Can we see Friends on friendships? Good, solid. I love you, man. I'll go to the end of the earth for you. I'll do everything short of sleep with you. Friendship. Because
Pause.
right, it's like, because most real friendships almost exude the same level of care and
Yeah, of
affection of
course.
a
Yeah.
loving of a romantic relationship, minus the romance.
Yeah.
They
For
could have
sure.
done everything if they just didn't kiss. It would have been. I actually would have been elated. Like, oh my god, finally we get a good TV show with just good friends.
Corey just burned us. I always knew. Damn. Was it that obvious, Corey? Trying to keep it under wraps here.
That's fucked up, Corey. But I
Yeah.
see what I did there.
It's all right. It's all right. We left that wide open.
Right? I take responsibility for my mistakes and when I
Yeah.
make statements that leave shit, open
It's
to
all right.
interpretation. But
I kind of
honestly,
agree with you. Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of agree with you. I think that it's a little bit just
Overdone.
forced. I think it's only forced just to add the level of drama for what happens at the end, right?
Mhm.
It's not enough that it was her best friend. It was also that they were in love with each other and they just expressed their love to each other and then they are supposed to die. And then it's like, oh, but see how much more dramatic that is? Isn't that good?
Choke
mean,
me
this-
to death with the bullshit, please.
I know. This show is the epitome of the more dramatic equals the gooder. That's
it's
what they
definitely
think.
been showing that from the beginning.
It's
to now.
just as long as it's as dramatic as possible, that's what good TV and cinema is. And I don't know if that's 100% true. I think drama can be great, but
right.
it just for its sake, you're not going to get points just because you can, again, make people fall in love on camera and then kill
Right.
them off at the end.
Well, forgive me as I know this isn't the show where I typically talk about things like this. That's on This Merry Moment, but forgive me for knowing that you don't give a shit about your boyfriends and girlfriends the way you care about a wife, or your best friend matters way more than that person you're not spending the rest of your life with. How do I know? I'm 34.
Mhm.
So to me, it would have been worse to lose your best friend than somebody that you just kissed on a whim once, and 8 times out of 10, guess what? You were going to turn back into best friends.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, we don't get to know that anyways. It's just so that they can kill the character and make it more
No, I get it.
impactful.
I get it.
Um,
But that's really my point, is they used it to play on our heartstrings. And what it really did is it made me mad that, one, you gave Ellie the vision of being happy with someone, and then you took that from her immediately.
mhm.
How do we enjoy that? Right? The second part of that turns into you introduce us into this character who turns Ellie into something we've never seen from that character.
Right.
And now that's gone. That person that is able to make that change is gone.
Mhm.
It just makes it to where if you had left her as a best friend, it would be more impactful, even I think, on the viewer.
I think it would have been fine either way. I mean, honestly, I really don't give a shit at this point. They could have just, I mean, they could have just gotten, I don't know, ice
just wanna say-
cream. You know
Right.
what I mean?
just
Like
wanna
they
say we
could have
see
just hung
We
out.
see spousal separation and spousal death all the time on TV. I just,
Yeah, it gets a little bit trite at that point.
Right.
Like I
And I
felt
hate-
that way with episode 3 too.
Right.
So-
And it's and I liked it more comparing this to episode 3. I liked episode 3 better in that aspect, because you didn't even get a relationship type of a discussion from them. You just got a kiss, a simple kiss, and it was like, oh, we both like this, and it was like, okay, you could both like this, but you know you're gonna die, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's like, shit, just rewind us 3 episodes then, or 4 episodes. Let's go back to episode 3, where at least when you killed off Bill and Frank, I was like, damn, could you leave one of them alive?
Right. Yeah. Well, they did leave one alive this time, so you should be
Yeah, they
happy.
did. Yeah. But it's the main character, so does it count?
Yeah, I guess not. Corey says they glossed over the whole terrorist thing and then threw in the thing where Riley wanted a family and couldn't be the patrol of sewage duty. Just too much, too fast, with the dash of elitism thrown in there.
Can I respond?
And a little bit of like hinting towards racism too, right?
Yes, just a smidgen.
Yeah.
Oh man, good shit.
Because maybe there was a reason she got put on sewage duty.
Well, the Asian dude's gonna, of course, put her on sewage duty,
right? Exactly.
And of course, she's looking for family. And I don't care what nobody says. The freaking writer of this and director of this episode can message me personally and say this isn't the case. I'm gonna call you a liar to your face. The whole sentiment of, she's joining this terrorist group because she's looking for family. Why do people join gangs? And why did the black person have to join for that one reason only?
Oh, ouch. Got him.
I'm just saying. If she didn't say the family thing, I probably wouldn't have thought about it that way.
Right.
But when Ellie shows like, oh, so you joined a terrorist group, and it's like, I wanted family, and it clicked for me. I was like, oh shit, I've heard that how many times? We've all heard that before.
Yeah,
and
Vin Diesel never turns out every time.
Who's that?
Vin Diesel says it every time.
Really? Oh shit. Fascinating. I thought to be like, damn, Vin Diesel was a gang member. I didn't know. And I'm not knocking gang members. I'm simply stating that if you were to talk to them about what their reasoning is, a lot of them get back to that. I'm looking for family. No matter what they know of the terrible things that you can probably attribute to that group, they're looking for people who view them as family and that they have like minds of. And that's what she said. And it made me like, she could have just said that she believes in what they're doing.
Right. She could have. She could have. But then she's like, no, I'm making bombs for my family.
Right. I'm making bombs for my family. My family's sending me to Atlanta because I got to go to that QZ. That doesn't sound like family. That sounds like military militia shit.
Yeah. It sounds like you're about to go bomb a QZ. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was a little nasty to me as well. And there are some things that, of course, I mean, we can go, if we were to go tick by tick, there's a lot of things we could point out that could be isms of so many different nature. I do want to mention some inconsistencies when they were walking through the abandoned building, going towards the mall, and they come across the dead dude who took the pills and the liquor. And Riley was saying how he wasn't there yesterday. So why are we going up to him? Why are we playing with the body? Because that means we don't know if he's infected and he's already.
Weren't you guys born in the apocalypse?
I can't tell. I can't tell. They seem fresh to me. Mm-hmm. But the inconsistency isn't so much about their interaction with him. The inconsistency for me is after they take his liquor, and I guess he fall. The floor gets so weak he falls through. Did you hear him scream? Because I did.
I think it was them screaming, but maybe it was him.
I played it back 5 times. That was.
Oh, really?
Oh!
Do you think maybe they just like kept it in because it was the only good take?
I think it was the stunt double just made a mistake and accidentally was audible.
Right.
My question is, why was the stunt double mic'd up? But that's a different conversation.
He probably wasn't. Mic caught it or something.
Yeah, caught him on Boom. Either way, I rewound it so many times because I was like, okay, maybe that's Ellie or Riley with a really strong inhale, but no, it wasn't that.
Corey says, I was expecting his frongs to creep out of his mouth and get Ellie right there. Yeah, exactly.
I thought,
and I do not like that they're called fronds. That's disgusting.
That's pretty gross. That's really what they're called?
I would assume so. He's probably
find a different way to gross me out every.
He knows the game, so yeah. And it makes sense for him.
I promise every episode, it's a different thing that makes you go, okay.
Disgusting.
And I'm not a easy disgusted type of a person. So yeah. Um,
But that's all to say that I was also pretty surprised that they didn't. I guess they cut away, but they'll probably bring back that moment because we don't actually see them die, or we don't see Riley die. Um, it cuts away after
yeah,
them
you're right.
sitting there together and like holding each other.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Ellie in real time, and she decides to go look for
Oh no, we
something
can
to help
deduce what
Joel.
happens there
I
before we,
think so.
and then we'll talk about the
Oh, I
surprises.
think we can deduce for sure. I think
Yeah.
we can deduce for sure that she gets caught by the Fireflies because they're looking for Riley. Um, but I was just surprised that we actually didn't see Riley die, is what I meant.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see that at the beginning of episode 8. I think when
Mm,
they get caught by the fire or they get brung back in. But I don't know if they're gonna get brung in or caught or they're just gonna go to the Fireflies. But when the Fireflies get to them, I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna put both of them in rooms, keep them captive, as we saw them with Ellie at the very beginning. Clearly, they were
right.
holding her captive,
Yeah.
because they were waiting for her to change, and she never changed. Whereas uh, Riley is going to change, and they're going to have to put her down.
Right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's going to be probably the first or second scene of episode 8 is us watching them put down Riley.
Probably. That makes sense
But
because episode 8 looks like it's going to be focused with Ellie kind of having to take care of business while Joel is still healing.
right, and I'm going to say this just because we made a tip towards racial inferences earlier,
Mm.
and we may see some black on black crime because I believe what's her name, Marlene.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she'll be back alive be alive because she was
She was the
Riley's
head of
handler.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's how that's going to play out, and Marlene's going to be the one to have to put her down. And then that's why, and then we're going to understand why she has the animosity we see her have towards Ellie at the beginning.
Right. Which I guess that makes sense. That's a nice way to sort of bring it back and give some context about the beginning. But yeah, is there anything else for episode 7?
Episode 7. So let's just go through the surprises that Riley had. I thought there were some cool surprises, but it slowly but surely let me know what I was looking at. At first, I wasn't quite sure if Riley had a crush on Ellie, and then I started feeling like Ellie had a crush on Riley, and then realized it was mutual. So they find the liquor on a dead body, so they immediately take that. They drink, they walk, they talk. They find the mall. Ellie discovers the escalator. That's throw number 1. Then she takes her to the carousel, which is, I mean, listen, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Carousels are pretty dope. I get it.
They are dope, but every move, like I think it's like a weird trope now.
For
Like
post-apocalyptic movies, yes.
well, yeah, or just like I think people, maybe filmmakers just love shooting on carousels because I've seen so many carousel scenes now where like the character is sitting there with the lights in the background. There's a nice bokeh, and there's a depth of field going on. Yeah, that seems like
a background, the moving. Yeah,
right.
You're absolutely right. I get what you're saying. And you know what? I don't think anybody's ever done it better than Big, Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah. I was thinking there was I forget what it was, but yeah, that does seem like a sort of a movie trope.
Yeah.
He said the horses didn't go up and down, fake lame ass carousel. Look, there were some
carousels don't bounce. You do know that, right?
Well, there are usually a carousel will have stationary ones, and then a few of them go up and down.
Yeah, that's what I mean. On the carousel itself, all of them don't go up and down.
Yeah.
But I understand, and my favorite ones are nope. I'm not saying that out loud. Ha ha.
Aha. Good job. You did it. When I was a kid, I was too afraid of those. I would always ride the stationary one. Because for some reason I thought that I was going to get thrown off of it somehow. Yeah. I had a lot of weird idiosyncrasies as a child. I was like, yeah.
Hey, I get it. Trust me, if we all thought about the things we thought as a kid, who knows how we really look at ourselves.
I thought people that got kidnapped by burglars coming into their house and then taking them with their bed so that you wouldn't know that you're being kidnapped because you're sleeping.
Dang.
Yeah.
You got to write these down, man.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Anything? What else? Oh, the surprises. Yes.
Escalator, then a surprise carousel, then the photo booth, which is when the photo booth is when I was like, oh, okay, I'm not tripping. The
Mm-hmm.
question at that point in the photo booth was by the photo booth, it looked like it was Riley pushing on Ellie, and Ellie was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" Um, After that, we get to the Victoria's Secret, and again, I'm really just building that like, oh, I kind of saw it coming, but I didn't see it coming until it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to the Victoria's Secrets. They're walking by, and it's like, oh, I'm just thinking like, oh, I couldn't imagine you in that, haha. And I'm like, what kind of a friend imagines their friend in lingerie? Kind of I promise you, I tried to like wipe it, like, nah, it's nothing. It's just, I guess that's what it was for me because I'm not a woman. I was like, I guess that's how girls talk to each other.
Maybe, yeah. I could have brushed it off as that for sure. Yeah.
That's what I did. I thought that's how girls talk to
Um,
each other. Then they get to the arcade. They play Mortal Kombat 2, which I thought was the dopest part to me. But the noise,
Ellie
that's why I
sucks at
went through
that.
Ellie. She
She's
didn't have
dog
practice.
shit, button mash
Listen,
and dog shit. What is this?
listen. I am not the best at fighting games in our friend group, and I'm tired of you guys talking about people who suck. And I'm playing.
Yeah. Don't
But
worry. I mean, I'm only good at Smash, and that really is just, it's like, fighting for kids.
hey, listen. If I'm taking a W, I don't care what the difficulty level is.
All right.
But they were playing Mortal Kombat 2. And I thought that was pretty cool because of the inference of their interest in Mortal Kombat 2. It was very clear. We know how old Mortal Kombat 2 is, so it wasn't like that was a new game for them.
Mm-mm.
Probably had not played. My issue with all of that and why I brought up all the surprises, where you took her through all these surprises, but you didn't know that there was a infected in there with you the entire time, Riley.
Yeah. The only point that I could counter with is that she didn't take anybody else in there, and Ellie's ass is loud.
Ellie is super fucking loud.
She's super loud. So I could imagine that Riley was in there for quite some time and just not
3
making
weeks.
enough noise for the infected to actually hear her.
Yeah,
But
3 weeks.
Ellie just never shuts up. So yeah.
Bruh. Like, honestly, I'm wondering how that hasn't become more of a thing in this show.
Right. Good catch, Corey. Yeah, they did have the Mortal Kombat 2 poster on their wall in their barracks or
Okay.
their
I
dorm
did
room or
miss
whatever.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna call those barracks.
Mhm.
It was a Marine Corps base.
Right. Yeah. It's military for sure.
Oh no. So in the gym they had a USMC. What do they call those? The banners on the wall. Yeah, I think they call them banners.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Yeah. I just figured Fedra was like the amalgam of all military wings.
I think at this point, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
what
Ellie's
else?
ready to leave. She convinces her to come for one last surprise, and that's when she finds the pipe bombs. Once you find the pipe bombs and you leave, why do you go back, Riley? That's stupid. She comes back, they talk, they turn music even louder and put it on a bigger sound system. And the infected that was there, even though he heard them the first time, he didn't even bother them. But when you put the music on the sound system, all right, listen, now you playing with me.
Yeah. Yeah. He was willing to be a good neighbor, but you guys messed up.
He was legit trying.
And it was past 2 a.m., so you can't really get mad at him for that.
And all he came out and said, "Can you please stop stepping on my lawn?"
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you turn the music down a little bit? It's 2:00 in the morning. That's all you got to do.
Listen, it's a little loud. Can you turn it down? There's no music on. But yeah, so after that, they're attacked, or excuse me, they have the sound system, they're dancing and mask, they kiss, and then they're attacked, and nonsensically, they're both bitten. All they had to do was run.
Even though Riley had the burner.
She shot it like 3 times.
She shot it 3 times, but she didn't shoot in the head once.
That's true. I think that was the note that she might not have had that kind of aim as of yet.
Corey's keeping us honest here.
They
were both pretty drunk at the time. Yeah.
They were drunk. You're right. And Ellie did call Riley out on being drunk. So that's a fair point, Corey. Thank you for that. So yeah, okay, I guess that's why the judgment on how fast to move, you're not going to,
and their noise levels and all of that.
Yeah. And listen, I know a lot of athletes, whether I was or one or not, is a discussion that we can have if you ever want to talk to me as a person. But I have yet to ever meet anyone, including Division I athletes, who can get skunk drunk and still be able-bodied. So I totally understand that, Corey. That's a very good point.
True. Yes. So
Now
they
you could get
lose.
moderately drunk and still win a push-up competition. But you know-
It might be puking afterwards, but
oh,
that's
the next
okay.
morning. Don't worry about the next morning. You want to get 250. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So they lose their battle, their epic battle, and Ellie gets bitten, and so does Riley.
Mhm.
And they decide that, I think they're doing the right thing. They're not taking the coward way out. They're basically saying, we're just going to ride this out. And
I thought that was really dope.
yeah, I can have respect for that, because it's not like, who is going to have to shoot the other person and then kill themselves? Like, who wants to be that person?
Yeah. Nobody. And we
You don't
don't have
wanna be
2
that
guns,
person.
so it ain't no 1, 2, 3 pool.
Right. And then at that point, if they did have 2 guns, I'd just be worried about somebody being like, "Oh no, I changed my mind at the last second."
They
So,
both changed their mind. That's why they decided to stay alive.
That's true.
You got to
That's
think
true.
in their situation, being raised by Fedra, their entire life was literally them. This is what has to be done in the moment,
Mhm.
and they couldn't do it. So
Right. Yeah. Yep. See the above comment, says Corey. Yeah, drunk again. That explains all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. That makes a lot of sense. And thank you, Corey, for that, because you're right. We were not putting that into context.
Mhm.
The context of them being drunk does change the decision-making process, and it does make a little more sense to, like Nick alluded to a moment ago, the noise, the decision-making, and maybe even the pushing beyond the friend boundary.
Are you talking? Corey says 7 comments back. Damn. All right. Let me see here. Is it the Kansas City? When she shot the dude in Kansas City.
Which dude?
Here we go. He's got it. No, there we go.
Why are we shouting out Christopher Reeve?
No, Ellie had to have shot her by what was shown. Oh, okay. That's right, because she says in Kansas City that she's done this.
She's
before.
had to done it before.
She's had
that's
to do it
true.
before. So the insinuation is that maybe she had to shoot Riley. So
you know what? That's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah. No. Okay, I get that. She might have had to shoot Riley. I'll wait till episode 8 to confirm it. But with Corey playing the game and stating what he just stated, I'm assuming he has insight. And thank you for that again.
Mm-hmm.
I think
that makes more sense.
I will say this: I would prefer Ellie to shoot Riley than Marlene. I'll say that now.
Yeah, I think that Marlene gets there after the fact. Maybe. Because it's not going to take that long for her to turn, and Ellie's not going to turn.
Yeah, Ellie's not going to turn.
So, yeah.
Without that lead in the head, she gonna even with the lead in the head, she gonna turn. She just won't be up and moving.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, she'll just become a regular cordyceps mushroom.
So we flash forward again, and Ellie is scrambling through the house to look for a needle and thread to start sewing Joel back up again, because that's how it works.
Because so during this journey, since this is a video game, she found a place to learn the skill of suturing like a nurse.
Well, not just that, it's just like also just sewing the top of the skin isn't going to do anything. They're still bleeding and tearing on the inside,
which is why he's going to still die.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to make it. I mean, he is going to make it because they have to kill him in another way. So
I might say, if what I would have liked to see them do was to see her start a fire, take a blade, heat that blade, cauterize the outside of the wound, allow him to bleed out on the inside, but then at least he has another 3 weeks back in these, for this situation.
Yeah, cauterizing might be better.
Yeah, then he ends up dying from like gestation or some shit.
Sepsis. Yeah, toxic shock. All right. Well, you got anything else for episode 7? I think we're
it was better than I expected. I'm not gonna lie about that. I liked episode 7 more than I expected after I had watched episode 5 and 6 together. Thinking that would, trying to give myself a little different look at this.
Mm-hmm.
With it being a video game, but I did like episode 7 better. It's probably the most entertaining episode, but not the best episode. Best episode is reserved for, the one I like.
Whichever one that'll be. I think there was some good character moments for Ellie, that's for sure. I think it dragged on a little bit too long. It's basically
the only
another
episode.
bottle episode, and we really don't have very much of the main story happening. But they promise next episode will be
The
yet
last
another
episode?
group of people, a group of psychopathic people in the wilderness that they're going to have to contend with. So
Isn't this only slated for 8 episodes?
I think
thought
maybe,
so.
yeah, this might be
That's the
the
part that's confusing me.
this might be the cliffhanger finale for season 1. So
Because I'm like, if we're only getting 8,
And this is where we're at in 7. 8's gonna have to be at least an hour and a half to give us some level of a season-ending wrap-up.
yeah, and Joel will be out of commission all episode.
And Joel's
He'll
out of
just be-
commission.
yeah.
So
So,
then
it's just
we-
going to
and-
be
and-
Ellie.
And they're
dealing
gonna
with
have to
those
find a way
crazy
to
people.
show us that Joel's gonna be back on his feet in season 2.
He'll be back on his feet at the end of episode 8, but it's going to
He's
take
gonna kill somebody and save Ellie, right? You
right,
think so?
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe,
that makes sense.
right. Okay, well, we got a lot to look forward to next week.
Do we though?
Do we though? No, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. Do you know what we're picking for Wednesday?
I have a. We're gonna do it. Wednesday we're gonna cover a movie called Neon Lights. It's on Netflix. It doesn't drop until Wednesday, but it's a movie called Neon Lights. It is gonna be on Netflix. I have the plot. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know what it's loosely about. So look
Okay.
that up. The Neon Lights movie. It came out in 2022, but it will be available on Netflix on Wednesday. If you want to watch it before Wednesday, it is currently available for rent on YouTube. So
Yeah, or sail the high seas. Who knows? Yeah, I think that's it for us tonight, guys. I think we can wrap it up here.
Wait, Corey
yeah.
Silly, did you see this last one?
No, I am sorry. So, looking forward. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
looking forward to looking forward again. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it feels like. It's like
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
keep
So
waiting for the next
time,
thing.
don't worry about it. Next episode will be better. Don't worry about it. That's how they get you. Cool. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in with us. Special shout out to Corey and to Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Thank you, Corey. Thanks, Big Mike. We appreciate you guys chatting with us tonight. And we appreciate all you guys watching out there. We really thank you so much. We're like at 126 subs, and we're very thankful for that. So thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're just visiting the channel, please consider giving us a subscription. We'd really appreciate that. We're trying to build out our base and subscriber count, and we can't do it without you. So please help us out with a thumbs up and a subscription. And thank you so much. And again, thank you to all of you who already have subscribed. We really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. We are a part of a network of podcasts you can find on Facebook at Thinkering Talks. We have a series of podcasts that we do every day of the week, starting with Tuesdays at If Numbers Could Talk at 8 p.m. with Keelan. Wednesdays and Sundays here at Screen Time Continuum, 8:30. Then you have Tuesdays and Thursdays at Twitch with Dijon the Mustard at Strawberries and Coffee. Also, Big Mike at King_of_Ilion on Twitch, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Go check them out. Friday nights is Exofathom at 8 p.m. Saturday morning with Keelan and Bobby is This Married Moments. You can go check them out, This Married Moments. And then Sunday back here at Screen Time Continuum, 8:30 p.m. We'll be here for Sunday, the last episode of The Last of Us. And then Wednesday, we're going to be reviewing Neon Lights on Netflix. So be done with your homework by then. We expect you guys to watch. No, just watch our episode and we'll tell you all about it. And you can just, have fun talking smack with us. All right, man. Anything else, Keelan? We're good?
Yeah, we are good. No, it was I mean, listen, this has been fun doing The Last of Us for a game that we didn't play, that I think both of us would have actually played had we had access to it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I'm hating this, so looking
No.
forward to the episode.
Yeah, we'll see. Trying to keep an open mind, and hope that you keep an open mind as well. Thank you guys again. Really appreciate it. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
And I am Keelan.
Good night.
Thanks a lot, guys.